Business class cabin on a flight from Zurich to New York, sunset streaming through the windows, crystal glasses of wine catching the light. A successful CEO sat with arms crossed, a mocking smile on her lips as she watched a man in a worn jacket holding his sleeping daughter. She whispered to her assistant, "A poor single father in a place like this. How out of place." Suddenly the plane shook violently. Alarms blared. The captain's urgent voice, "We need an experienced fighter pilot. Is there anyone on board?" Everyone froze, except one man who quietly stood up. Let me tell you about James, 39 years old, aircraft maintenance engineer, quiet, keeps to himself. He lived in a small apartment with his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, just the two of them. James had been a fighter pilot once, F-16s, Top Gun graduate, flew combat missions in the Middle East. But that was another life. 7 years ago, his wife died giving birth to Lily. Complications, hemorrhaging, gone before he could even say goodbye. James left the military, took a job that kept him on the ground, became a father. In his wallet, he kept his old pilot's badge, faded, worn, a reminder of who he used to be. But now he was just dad. The flight was a rare treat. A wealthy client had given James 2 business class tickets as a bonus. "Take your daughter somewhere nice," the man had said. So James booked a trip to New York. Lily had never been. Her eyes had lit up when he told her. They boarded early, found their seats. Lily pressed her nose against the window, watching the ground crew. "Papa, we're so high up." "Not yet, sweetheart. Wait until we take off." Then she walked in. Victoria Montgomery, CEO of Montgomery Industries. Tailored suit, expensive perfume, confidence that bordered on arrogance. She took her seat across the aisle, her assistant trailing behind with bags and a laptop. Victoria glanced at James, took in his worn jacket, his daughter's simple dress, the way he carefully helped Lily with her seatbelt. She leaned to her assistant, her voice just loud enough to carry. "How can people like that afford business class? It ruins the exclusivity." Her assistant smiled uncomfortably but said nothing. James heard. Of course he heard, but he just tucked Lily's blanket around her and said nothing. During the flight, Victoria made more comments. When James ordered juice for Lily, couldn't even splurge for champagne? How pedestrian. When Lily dropped her coloring book, children shouldn't be in business class. They don't appreciate it. Each time James stayed silent. His jaw would tighten, his hands would clench, but he said nothing. For Lily's sake, he said nothing. Then everything changed. 4 hours into the flight, the plane lurched, hard. Overhead bins rattled. Glasses crashed to the floor. The seatbelt sign dinged urgently. A flight attendant stumbled past, her face pale. Everyone remained seated, stay calm. But people weren't calm. They were terrified. The plane shook again, harder this time. Someone screamed. Victoria gripped her armrests, her face draining of color. Then the captain's voice came over the intercom, tense, urgent. "This is Captain Reynolds. We've experienced a critical systems failure. Our co-pilot is injured. I need an experienced fighter pilot, military background. If there's anyone on board, please identify yourself immediately." Silence. No one moved. Victoria looked around wildly. So did everyone else. Who would be crazy enough to... James stood up, quietly, calmly. He kissed Lily's forehead. "Stay here, sweetheart. Papa needs to help." "Papa?" Lily's voice was small, scared. "It's okay. I'll be right back." He walked to the front of the cabin, knocked on the cockpit door. Victoria stared. Her mouth fell open. The maintenance engineer, the quiet man with the worn jacket, him. The cockpit door opened. James stepped inside, and Victoria realized she judged a book by its cover, and that mistake might have just saved her life. Inside the cockpit, chaos. The co-pilot slumped in his seat, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead, conscious but dazed. Captain Reynolds turned as James entered. "You're the pilot?" "Former. F-16s, 10 years active duty." Reynolds' eyes widened with relief. "Thank God. I need you in the right seat now." James slid into position. His hands moved automatically, checking instruments, reading displays, processing information. It had been 7 years, but his body remembered. "Talk to me," James said. "What's the situation?" "Hydraulic failure in the primary system. Backup's compromised. I've got limited control. We're losing altitude. James scanned the instruments, his heart rate steady, mind clear. This was what he'd trained for: high stress, life or death. Keep calm, execute. Okay, I've got partial control on my side. Let's work together. You handle pitch, I'll manage roll and yaw. Copy that. They worked in tandem, two pilots, different backgrounds, one goal. Stay in the air, get everyone home safe. In the cabin, panic was spreading, people crying, praying, calling loved ones. Lily sat quietly, tears running down her face, but she didn't scream. Victoria found herself moving across the aisle, sitting beside the little girl. Hey, what's your name? Lily. That's a pretty name. I'm Victoria. My papa went to help fly the plane. Yes, he did. He used to be a pilot, a really good one. He saved lots of people. Victoria felt something twist in her chest. Did he? He was a hero, but then my mama died and he had to take care of me, so he stopped flying. The girl's voice was matter of fact, but her eyes were old. Too old for 7. He gave up being a hero? No. Lily looked at Victoria seriously. He's still a hero. He's just my hero now instead of everyone's. Victoria felt tears sting her eyes. All those comments, all that judgment, and she hadn't known anything at all. In the cockpit, James's mind flashed back. Desert sky, enemy fire. His wingmen going down. The decision to break formation, to cover the rescue. The medals they'd given him later. The commendations. He'd been 28 then, young, fearless, living for the thrill. But the James was gone. The man who'd replaced him was quieter, more careful. He had a daughter now, a reason to come home. We're not going to make New York, Reynolds said. We need to find an alternate. What's our range? Philadelphia, maybe, if we can maintain altitude. Then that's where we go. James's voice was calm, steady. In the cabin, passengers heard it over the intercom, the confidence, the control. The panic began to ease, just a little. For 30 minutes, James and Reynolds fought for every foot of altitude, adjusting, compensating, working as one. James's shirt was soaked with sweat. His hands ached from gripping the controls, but he didn't stop, didn't falter. He thought about Lily, about tucking her in at night, about her laugh when he made her favorite pancakes. He thought about the promise he'd made to his dying wife. Take care of our baby, keep her safe. He'd kept that promise for 7 years. He wasn't about to break it now. We've got the runway, Reynolds said. Philadelphia International. Emergency crew standing by. Copy, beginning descent. The plane shuddered, groaned, but held together. James's hands moved with precision. Years of training and instinct guiding every adjustment. Landing gear? Deploying. Gear down and locked. Flaps? Full. Here we go. The ground rushed up to meet them. For a moment, Victoria was certain they were going to crash. Then, with a hard jolt, the wheels touched down. The plane bounced, skidded, but stayed on the runway. Reverse thrusters screamed, brakes engaged, and slowly, impossibly, the plane came to a stop. For a moment, there was silence. Then the cabin erupted in applause and tears and prayers of gratitude. James emerged from the cockpit. His face was gray with exhaustion, his hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Lily ran to him. Papa! He caught her, held her tight, breathed in the smell of her hair. I'm okay, baby. We're okay. Victoria stood, walked toward him. Their eyes met. You, she started, her voice cracked. You saved us. James just nodded, too tired for words. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The things I said, it's okay. No, it's not. I judged you. I thought, God, I was so wrong. James looked at her, really looked at her. It happens. People see what they expect to see. You were a fighter pilot, a real one. I was. But now I'm just a dad. Victoria shook her head. No, you're both. You're everything. Later, as they waited in the terminal for their rebooked flights, Victoria sat with James and Lily. Can I ask you something? Victoria said. Sure. Why maintenance? Why not stay in the cockpit? James looked at Lily, who was coloring quietly beside him. When my wife died, I realized something. Being a pilot was who I was, but being a father, that's who I needed to be. He smiled sadly. I couldn't risk leaving Lily alone. Couldn't risk her losing both parents. So I found a job that kept me on the ground with her. You gave up your dream? No, I traded it for a better one. Victoria felt something shift inside her chest. She'd spent years climbing, achieving, building an empire, but she'd never once felt the kind of peace she saw in James's eyes when he looked at his daughter. That night, in her hotel room, Victoria wrote in her journal, "Power isn't what makes someone worthy of respect. Calm in the face of a storm is. And today I learned that lesson from a man I dismissed as beneath me. Shame on me." 3 days later, Victoria tracked James down, his maintenance hangar, small, industrial, the opposite of her corner office with city views. She found him under a plane, tools in hand, grease on his clothes. "James?" he rolled out. Surprise flickered across his face. "Victoria, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to see you, to thank you properly." "You already thanked me, at the airport." "That wasn't enough. You saved my life, everyone's lives." James stood, wiped his hands on a rag. "I did my job, that's all." "No, you did more than that. You stepped up when no one else could, when no one else would." Victoria looked around the hangar, at the modest workspace, the simple tools. "This is what you do now? Fix planes instead of fly them?" "Someone has to keep them safe. I'm good at it." "You could be doing so much more. Commercial pilot, training, consulting. You have skills that don't matter if I'm never home for my daughter," James interrupted gently. "I chose this, and I'm happy." Victoria fell silent. Happy? When was the last time she'd been truly happy? Over the next few weeks, Victoria found reasons to visit. "I'm interested in the maintenance side of aviation," she'd say, "for business purposes." But really, she just wanted to be near him. Near this quiet man who'd shown her what real strength looked like. She met Lily properly, brought her books and art supplies. "Papa says you're very important," Lily said one day. "Does he?" "Mm-hmm. He says you run a big company." "I do. Do you like it?" Victoria paused. No one had ever asked her that. I used to. I'm not sure anymore." "Papa says you should only do things that make your heart happy." Victoria looked at this wise little girl, at her earnest eyes. Your papa is a very smart man. But not everyone was pleased with Victoria's new friendship. Richard Chen, CEO of a rival company. He'd been on the same flight, had witnessed everything, and he didn't like what he saw. At a business conference, he cornered Victoria. "I see you've been slumming it with the maintenance worker." "Excuse me? That pilot, or whatever he is, people are talking, Victoria, wondering if you've lost your edge." "Lost my edge? I'm more focused than ever." "Really?" "Because from where I'm standing, you're wasting time with a single father who fixes planes for a living. Not exactly CEO material." Victoria's eyes flashed. "James is twice the man you'll ever be. He's a mechanic. You're a CEO. Know your place." "My place is wherever I choose it to be." The confrontation came at a charity gala. High society, designer gowns, champagne towers. Victoria had invited James. He'd been reluctant. But for Lily's sake, she'd wanted to see Victoria's fancy party. He'd agreed. They arrived. James in a borrowed suit, Lily in a simple dress. The stare started immediately. Whispers, pointed looks. Richard Chen made his way over, drink in hand. Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, tell me, how does it feel to be so out of your depth?" James said nothing. "I mean, look around. Everyone here is someone. What are you, a guy who changes oil filters?" "Richard, stop," Victoria warned. "Why? It's the truth. This man has no business being here, just like he had no business being in business class. Some people need to accept their station in life." Lily's hand tightened on James's. James's jaw clenched, but still he said nothing. Victoria had had enough. She stepped forward, took the microphone from the band leader. "Excuse me, everyone, I have something to say." The room fell silent. 3 weeks ago, I was on a flight. a flight that nearly killed everyone on board due to mechanical failure. She looked at James. I spent that flight mocking a man, judging him, deciding he wasn't worthy of sitting near me because of how he dressed, how he looked. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. And then that man saved my life. He's a former fighter pilot, a hero, and he stepped into a cockpit and brought a dying plane safely to the ground. She walked to James, took his hand. His name is James. He's a single father. He gave up his career as a pilot to raise his daughter after his wife died. He works in maintenance because it keeps him close to home, close to her. Tears streamed down her face. And I almost missed knowing him because I was too busy judging his jacket. She turned to Richard. You asked what makes someone someone. Let me tell you, it's not money, not power, not which circles you run in. She squeezed James's hand. It's courage. It's sacrifice. It's putting others before yourself. That's what makes someone worth knowing. And by that measure, James is worth 10 of any of us. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Within seconds, the entire gala was applauding. Richard's face turned red. He turned and walked out. James looked at Victoria, stunned. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, because you taught me something important. What's that? That the people we overlook are often the ones we need most. If you believe that humility can triumph over pride, leave a below. After the gala, Victoria's life changed. She started spending less time at the office, more time with James and Lily. At first, her board was concerned. Are you sure you're staying focused, Ms. Montgomery? More focused than I've been in years. And it was true because for the first time, she was learning what mattered. James invited her to dinner at his apartment. Small, modest, but clean and warm. Lily helped cook. Well, helped was generous. Mostly she made a mess. But James was patient, guiding her hands, letting her crack the eggs even though half ended up on the floor. Victoria watched, fascinated. This was what a home looked like, not square footage or designer furniture, but laughter and flour on noses and terrible egg-cracking technique. Over dinner. Spaghetti, Lily's specialty. James told Victoria about his wife. Sarah. She was everything. Kind, funny. She made me want to be better. What happened? Complications during childbirth. They tried everything, but his voice broke. She made me promise before she went into surgery. She said, if something happens, you take care of our baby. You be everything she needs. He looked at Lily, who was busy twirling spaghetti. So that's what I've tried to do, be everything she needs. You're an amazing father, James. I just do my best. Some days that's enough. Some days it isn't. It's always enough. Trust me. They started a tradition. Every Saturday, the three of them would work in the small community garden near James's apartment. Victoria had never gardened before, didn't know a weed from a flower, but Lily taught her, patiently, like she was the adult. No, Victoria, you have to be gentle with the roots like this. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. That's okay. Papa says you don't have to be good at something to enjoy it. They planted lavender, Lily's favorite. When it blooms, Lily explained, it smells so good. And even when you're far away, if you smell lavender, you remember home. Victoria smiled. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Papa taught me that. He says home isn't a place. It's a feeling. One evening, Victoria brought work papers to James's apartment, spread them on his tiny kitchen table, frowned at projections and reports. What's wrong? James asked. Quarterly earnings. They're down. By how much? 3%. The board is panicking. Are you? Victoria looked up, blinked. I don't know. A few months ago, I would have been devastated. Now it just feels like numbers. That's because you're seeing the bigger picture. Which is? James sat across from her. That success isn't just about profit margins. It's about impact, about the lives you touch, the good you do. He smiled. You're learning what really matters, and that's making you better at your job, not worse. Victoria stared at him. How did you get so wise? Losing everything teaches you what's important. I wouldn't recommend it, but it works. Lily drew a picture. 3 stick figures holding hands. Her, Papa, Victoria. She titled it, My Family. She hung it on the refrigerator with a magnet. James saw it. His throat tightened. Victoria saw it too. Tears pricked her eyes. Is that okay? Lily asked nervously. That I drew Victoria and our family. James knelt down. Of course it's okay. Is that what you want? Yes. I love Victoria. And she loves us, right? She looked at Victoria with such hope. Victoria couldn't speak, could only nod. Then it's okay, Lily concluded. We're a family. One night, after Lily went to bed, Victoria and James sat on his small balcony. The city lights sparkled below. The air was cool and clean. Can I ask you something? Victoria said. Always. Do you ever regret it? Leaving the Air Force? Giving up flying? James was quiet for a long time. Sometimes, when I see planes taking off, when I remember what it felt like up there, free, powerful. But then Lily calls me Papa, or she shows me a drawing, or she falls asleep in my arms. And I remember what I gained, not what I lost. He turned to Victoria. I wouldn't trade her for anything, not even the sky. Victoria's voice was soft. You're an extraordinary man, James. I'm just a dad doing his best. No, you're so much more than that. She took his hand. You showed me that real power isn't in boardrooms or bank accounts. It's in knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to sacrifice for the people you love. James squeezed her hand, squeezed her. You're learning fast. I have a good teacher. If you believe that a real home is built with hearts, hit like to spread this message. 6 months later, Victoria's office looked different, still professional, still polished, but warmer. On her desk, next to her gold Mont Blanc pen, sat James's old pilot's badge. He'd given it to her. Why? She'd asked. Because you remind me that I can be both, a pilot and a father, strong and gentle, that I don't have to choose. You'll always be a pilot to me, she'd said, even if you never fly again. At a board meeting, Victoria made an announcement. I'm restructuring my schedule. I'll be working 4 days a week, not 5. The board members exchanged concerned glances. Ms. Montgomery, with all due respect, I've spent 10 years building this company, and I'm proud of that, but I've also spent 10 years missing life. She looked around the table. I met a single father who taught me something crucial. That leadership isn't about how many hours you work. It's about the example you set, the values you uphold. She smiled. I can run this company in 4 days, and I will. But the 5th day, that belongs to the people who've shown me what really matters. The board was silent. Then the CFO spoke. Actually, Ms. Montgomery, productivity studies show, I don't care what studies show. I care what life has shown me. And if you can't accept that, then perhaps you're on the wrong board. One by one, they nodded, agreed. Victoria had never felt more powerful. That evening, she went to James's apartment, knocked on the door. Lily answered, Victoria, you're here. I'm here. Is your papa home? He's making dinner. Come in. Victoria walked into the small kitchen. James stood at the stove, stirring something that smelled amazing. Hey, he said, smiling. I wasn't expecting you tonight. I know, but I needed to say something. She took a breath. For the last 6 months, I've been coming here, spending time with you and Lily, learning how to be human again. James turned off the stove, gave her his full attention. But I've been keeping one foot in my old life, holding back, because I was scared. Scared of what? Scared that I don't know how to do this, how to be part of a family, how to be a mom. Lily gasped. A mom? Victoria knelt down. If you'll have me, if both of you will have me, I want to stay, not as a visitor, but as part of your family, your real family. James's eyes filled with tears. Are you sure? This is small, simple, nothing like your life. This is better than my life. This is everything my life was missing. She looked at him, at this man who'd shown her what true strength looked like. I love you, James. I love both of you. And if you'll let me, I want to spend every day proving that I'm worthy of being here. James pulled her into his arms. You're already worthy. You always were. We just needed to find each other. Lily hugged them both. We're really a family now? We really are, Victoria said. A year later, the pilot's badge and the Mont Blanc pen sat side by side on a shelf in their new home. Bigger than James's apartment, but not too big, just right for 3 people and the life they were building. Lily's drawing, the one labeled My Family, hung in a frame on the wall. And in the garden, lavender bloomed. Every morning, Victoria would stand there, breathing in the scent, remembering the lesson. Home isn't a place. It's the people who see you, really see you. The people who sit quietly beside you and turn out to be heroes. Sometimes the person sitting next to you in silence is the hero you never recognized. Real power isn't in titles or wealth or status. It's in knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to sacrifice for love. The most important people in your life might not look like what you expect. They might be wearing worn jackets and holding small hands, but they're the ones who'll save you when it matters most. If you believe that everyone deserves a second chance to be truly seen, subscribe now so you don't miss the next story that might change how you see the world around you.